Hello, good afternoon. My name is Alun R, and this afternoon I'm facilitating the last of 4 sessions of Achtung, Cthulhu Dark. This is a hack of Cthulhu Dark to allow players to play in a slightly more pulpy, I think, Second World War setting akin to Achtung Cthulhu by Modiphius Games. To do that, it draws on some rules and some ideas from the Cartel Quickstart, but fundamentally this is Cthulhu Dark with some knobs on. And I'm not going to mess about for long. The standard Gauntlet community, because we're running this as part of Gauntlet Hangouts, the standard Gauntlet community safety tools are in place. The players have access to the lines and veils we're playing with. The X card is in play, and I know they're all familiar with that. And the open table, so if something comes up, one of the players has to wander away, that's fine. We'll manage. If I have to wander away, I think we might be in trouble, but we'll manage with that. And the Gauntlet inclusivity policy is in place. And if you don't know about the Gauntlet, then I would suggest that you Google Gauntlet RPG, and you will find a fabulous community of people playing a whole range of games. I think we're up to something like 200 games a month in the calendar now. So do seek out the Gauntlet, and if you choose to join the Patreon, that gives you priority access to the games, and also a monthly zine, the Codex, which is a very good read. So with all that done, I'll get on to asking 4 of those fabulous players to introduce themselves. Can we do it in character keeper order, please? So left to right, that starts with Will. Would you introduce yourself and say something about Professor Zakpal, please?
Sure thing. Well, my name is Will, pronouns he, him, and I'm playing Radim Zakpal, who is also he, him. And Radim is a Czech historian who a member of the Resistance as well, and he is an expert in the ancient history of the Slavic region and the hidden history that the Germans may be seizing upon.
Thank you for that. Moving along, Walter, tell us about yourself and Ben.
Yes, hello, I'm Walter, he, him. I am playing Ben. Ben is the tough NCO. He is experienced in combat. He is tough, reliable, and laconic. Now, he
you froze then, Walter.
He was very much. Should I not? Oh, hello. Where did I freeze?
You froze when you were about to tell us something about Ben, other than the fact he was a tough NCO.
Yes. I was just going to give a quick recap of where he is as a character, which is that he very much has his eye on the larger mission, and thinks that some of the actions we've taken rather successfully directly against the Nazis have been very cavalier, and we should be focusing on more important things, the bigger mission. But we've also seen another side of his personality recently, where he gave in to the stress and decided to go into town at the beginning of last session to ease his stress with a flirtation with some of the local men in town, which we also learned may have led to him leaving some evidence of his presence behind. So we'll see how tough and how reliable he is now. But that's Ben.
Thank you, Walter. Moving on to Sabine. Sabine, tell us about Adam Gasco and yourself.
Hello, I'm Sabine. I use any pronouns. I am playing Adam Gasco. Adam Gasco is the competent Sparks. He is a small-time criminal, or he used to be a small-time criminal in Prague. He knows a lot about radio stuff and mechanics, and he knows several languages. And he has a cousin in the exile government of Czechoslovakia. So he kind of was recruited to the resistance, and he is quite all right with that because some things are in this world are strange and he really wants to know about these. He has learned several things, but not quite enough. Last session, he met the famous angel of Krupna, a priest who was rescuing Czech children from the Germans, and the confessional didn't quite go as he thought because the priest was like, yeah, it's totally cool to kill Nazis. Go ahead, kill more of them. And that's not quite what Adam expected. Well, but that's okay then. Nazis fine with God, and that's cool.
Yes, that was a very odd confessional. And finally, Joe Wachowski. Tell us about Joe, Eduardo, about yourself.
Sure. I'm Eduardo. I go by he, him, and I'm playing Joe Wachowski. He also goes by he, him. Joe's a U.S. diplomat, serving out of Poland. Gosh, I almost hate to play the stereotypes, but sort of playing him as the the American who's just sort of discovering Europe, and imagine this sort of bucolic, lovely village, this place out across the ocean, but he's joined this group and is kind of discovering this sort of deeper, darker side. Not just the war, but I guess as the game progresses, we'll also see that there's some additional mystery, involved, of course.
That's great. Thanks very much. So, as you'll have gathered, our agents are behind enemy lines. It's the summer of 1939, so war has yet to be declared between Britain and the Third Reich. But the Reich has already occupied Czechoslovakia, and so we are behind those enemy lines in Czechoslovakia in search of concrete evidence of atrocities. And Father Andre, codename Angel, is the person who's supposed to have the key to that. And the point we've reached is that the characters have made contact with the local resistance. They've arranged an equipment drop to ensure the loyalty and cooperation of that resistance cell. And now the question is, do they follow Father Andre's intent to rescue more children from Castle Karlstein, or do they have other plans? So with that, I will hand over to the players. What are we going to do then, folks?
Yeah, I'm looking to Ben. He's the one with the plans and the greater picture and stuff like that. I might not like that, but going into Karlstein seems rather dangerous.
Perhaps there is. If you would give me a moment, I would have to think. Have I ever studied the texts of Castle Karlstein's history? Perhaps there is some sort of allusion to a secret passage.
I would be happy for you to trawl your memory. You don't have your text with you as we speak, because you're in this rundown abandoned farmhouse about a mile from the castle. So I think you're asking me to investigate.
I am, yes.
So you can ask me some questions.
So I would roll 2 dice for that, correct? Or would you use my expertise, I imagine?
Oh, I think certainly your expertise would count into this.
Okay, let's see. There's a 4, is my highest one. So I get to ask you one question.
You do.
Is there a discreet way into the castle?
I think I'll give you a general answer, which is it's not unusual for castles of this age to have some smaller gates. There's certainly a main gate, which you can see on the mission tab. There's a map of the castle. There's certainly and there's at least one other gate, because I'm pretty certain that Father Andre told the characters last week that he got in through a gate that I'm afraid I've hidden under a label. It's to the left of number 2 on your map, the old gate. There's a postern gate of sorts in the tower, in the low tower, just underneath that top left label. There may be others, though. It's not unusual to find that there were often multiple ways out in the case of siege.
Great.
Yeah, I looked at the group, and I'm afraid to say that we just have hearsay so far. I mean, we're gonna need first-hand evidence. I mean, something to prove what's going on here. They're not just going to believe the word of, the four of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was sent here by the British government to bring back information, something concrete, something that can be used to support the British government in making a case for war. And so I see no alternative but that I must go into the castle. Now, the rest of you are not under these orders, so it is. I would appreciate any assistance you can provide me, but it is not my place to say if you should go in. That is for your own conscience.
I will come with you. You might need the radio to radio something back if we can make it out, which is great. I hate this idea. I'm coming with you anyway.
Yes, I must see what they are doing inside the castle. I must know.
And I'll go as well. There's got to be some kind of documentation that we can bring back with us.
And of course, there is no way that that Father Andre isn't going to come with you, because he, as I think we discovered last week, is positively obsessed with rescuing the children. And if Father Andre goes, then I think you can probably rely on at least the local resistance cell, the Svobodas, and their leader Vaclav Hajic, sorry. And of course, Adam's cousin in criminal activity that you met last time, Jakob in Karlstein, Pavel in Prague. The question is, how are you going to do it?
Wow, so we have quite a crew. Well,
Try to get in like we're working there. I mean, like working crew or something.
Do have one contact that we know is allowed in regularly. This I forget her name, but she takes a bicycle with fresh food up there.
Yes, most of your intelligence about the castle that is scribbled on the map that you have access to comes from Helena Svoboda, who every couple of days, she's the grocers. Jan, her husband, and she are the grocers in Karlstein, and every couple of days she takes fresh food or speciality orders that Hauptmann Kratz, the commander of the castle garrison, has ordered. Now, what you don't know is whether the fact that the grocers was closed yesterday because they were making an escape when the Nazis appeared to be swooping on the town. What you don't know is whether her status is still solid.
Well, all right. I guess first we can make a plan, and if the plan relies on her, then we can make an appeal to her to give it a try.
Now, I'm inclined, because in this kind of game, there's always a risk of some kind of mission paralysis where you can spend the next hour and a half talking about how you might do this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a leaf out of the Blades in the Dark playbook and say to you that I think that there are half a dozen ways that this could be done. I think there's an assault, i.e., charge in there and blast your way in. There's deception. There's stealth, which is different from deception. Deception, you would go in some kind of manipulation or trick or use a lure of some description to get in. Stealth would be to get in unseen. There's the social approach, which could be, do you have any leverage? You could bargain access or so, don't know. And then a transport approach, which is, well, could you get in hidden in some kind of transport? Those are the 5, I think, broad categories that are available to you. So if you want to explore one of those, that will be fine.
Well, I like stealth and deception. I think we can rule out assault because that doesn't seem very well.
Definitely not a direct assault. Yeah, I think getting in and out with as little attention as possible is a good idea. We might have to fight our way out, but fighting our way in is not going to get us what we want.
Yeah.
So in the case of deception, what I'd be wanting would be some clarity over the nature of the deception that would get you kind of across the threshold. Because after that, we always know in all of these missions, it's every man for himself. In terms of a stealthy approach, where's your point of infiltration?
Well, our best bet would seem to be that hidden entrance that we hear about. I suppose we could try to find another as our first point of engagement, but you know, assuming that fell apart and we didn't find some other hidden passageway in, the small access up at the top near 2 would be the way to sneak in. And if I think that's going to be the default, unless somebody has a good suggestion for deception.
Well, it's going to be hard with 2 guys who don't speak Czech very well.
My only suggestion for deception would be, you know, we're Czech workers here to do repairs or something on the castle, or test subjects. But I feel like it's going really out on a limb, right?
Yeah, these Nazi guys, they're pretty well organized usually. And telling them, hey, we're an unscheduled group of workers here to repair your castle. I don't know. I feel that these guys would then take a look at some lists and make some phone calls. And I don't know. I like the stealth thing.
Especially at the end of last session, the Germans seemed to be a bit on alert that something was going on, that there was resistance activity. I mean, at this point, they, I guess, have clues, at least 3 major resistance activities, including a number of Germans being shot in multiple locations. So yeah, I think they're very wary now, especially of local resistance.
Yes, just to provide a bit of mechanical weight to that, based on last session, I've ticked both the arrest boxes on the mission clock. So at any time, characters should expect to be confronted and take the risk of arrest or having to flee the authorities. One more cause of alert, and they're going to come after you wherever you are.
Can I ask, or maybe even, I guess, just to the group, or actually, this might be more of a question for you, Alan. Is there anything, like any kind of like natural diversion that we might be able to take advantage? I mean, you know, in the sense of, is the, you know, for example, is the castle built on a cliffside with, you know, regular sort of rock falls or mudslides? Or, I mean, to the group, maybe, do we want to think about the car accident, you know, that might distract? I guess I'm just trying to improve our chances, basically, just, you know, find something to give us an advantage.
And that's perfectly legitimate. You know, again, taking a leaf out of the Blades playbook. If you have something that would facilitate that, then it's about adding dice to dice pools, isn't it? But I mean, you've got a map of the Karlstein area. The trouble with the castle is that it's off the main road on a track running through a forest. It's pretty much surrounded by forest and with a slope going up above it to the right of the map that you've got. So I'm not certain that I can tell you there's much in the way of a natural disaster waiting to happen. unless you could engineer one.
Yeah, but we could engineer some of the resistance guys going there with some, I don't know, grenades or something and blow something up. I mean, that would make them more alert, but they would look outside, not inside, right?
Absolutely. There's no reason why you can't deploy the resistance cell if you choose to create a distraction, which would enhance your inverted commas stealth approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to build on that idea, Sabine, what if the resistance did something, in Serbst, or just looking at the map, near Grossmorschen, that would potentially draw the troops or draw their attention, hopefully reducing, their local surveillance that would allow us then to sneak in. Does that make sense? Is that maybe what you were also thinking, or?
Yeah, I don't know if they will have troops stationed at the castle. They won't just deploy all of those troops because that doesn't make sense. So we should have something that would make the troops in the castle look outside for signs of assault or something like that. Hey, maybe, you know what, Ben? Maybe we can we can't call it an airstrike. No, you're not in the war yet. So, damn.
Well, yeah, not an airstrike. I mean, I do really like these ideas of distraction. I think that's really a great idea. I'm thinking like an actual kind of like resistance direct action as the distraction is maybe too much, because that will put them on high alert if they feel like they're in, like, if they have to resist something. I mean, the Germans have to resist something, but maybe give them a lure. Maybe, for example, let them know that the angel has been found. Like, make the Germans think that they have a source, that they know where the angel is, and that they can go, like, pick the angel up, but that they maybe need to bring forces to overcome the resistance guarding him, or something like that, right? Let the Germans, like, let them leave the castle in force, thinking they're in charge, and then we can sneak in.
Yeah, we can totally make a kind of radio call telling them, oh, we've got the angel here and we're at our stronghold, and if they come, we will give them, I don't know, give them a beating, because they don't expect our secret weapon.
I really
they
like
don't
that.
know what they don't know what the resistance got from the drop, right?
No, they will know that there were 2 large canisters, so they'll be expecting the worst, I think, and they know that none of that was left by the time the smoke cleared and they got to the drop site.
Yeah, we can do something with that.
Would it help if I reminded you about what Helena knows about the routines of the castle? There are 3 platoons stationed there. At any one time, one of those platoons is on duty, and on duty means staffing the checkpoints in the villages in the area. So at any one point, one platoon is scattered across Karlstein, Hintertrebein, and Grossmorschein, and any patrols between the rest. So there's always most of that platoon out of the castle. One squad is always on duty at the main gate, and that's a sandbagged kind of redoubt with machine guns. There is the second platoon is in reserve, which means that they are ready to be deployed, but they're not routinely deployed. So they are in the castle, ready to be deployed, and they again have exactly the same numbers. Yeah. And then finally, there's an off-duty platoon, which will be asleep or relaxing when not either on reserve or actually out on patrol on duty or staffing a checkpoint. So if you could somehow draw the reserve platoon out, there would be a delay while the off-duty platoon was made ready. So there might be a window there.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Send out a radio message, make them think that they have a very narrow window of time to they think, sneak up on a large resistance force with a lot of arms. And then as soon as their trucks pull out, hopefully, then we go in the back door.
Maybe some of the resistance guys can stick around the fake point where we're luring them to, and they can just make it look like there's really something there. Because if they just go there and then there's nothing, then they will go home. If there's something,
absolutely. Well,
if there's something there to be investigated and they have to be careful, then that would give us more time.
I mean, yeah, I think it's all the better if the resistance can then ambush the Germans once they do arrive at wherever that is.
Well, Vaclav, the leader of the cell that you've had something to do, can tell you that there is a resistance cell at Gross Moorshine and another one at Serbst.
Does he know how to? He knows how to contact them, I assume.
Yeah. So
we can activate these guys, because I'm really worried about sneaking into the castle with 8 people. That's just too many. I mean, sneaking into somewhere, you want a small group, a small team. Just saying, not that I know anything about sneaking into places or anything.
Yeah, I agree. And Adam, you're definitely going to be useful. You've proven yourself useful. And Radim, I mean, you would probably know more about the castle than anyone. So even though you're...
Yes, you are right. I would know more about the castle than anyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Joe, do you really think it's a good idea for you to go in?
I don't think it's a good idea, but I have to. I need to get the evidence. I need to get something more than just hearsay.
And
yeah, if America joined the war, that would be greater,
That's true. That's true. If you can help convince the American government, and that would be valuable. Yeah. It's very brave of you to go in, and it will be valuable, Joe.
Now, I think at this point, our non-player character, Adrian, will probably chip in that his concern, actually, is that we pulled this trick yesterday, broadcast that there was an attack going to happen at Gross Moorshine, and lo and behold, several trucks set off, giving our resistance colleagues a chance to escape. We really do need to offer them something very, 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 very enticing this time. And so I think the logical thing to do would be for me to take the radio to Serbst and broadcast from there a message in plain that would suggest that there is a British agent for the taking on the ground. That, I would suggest, would be something they would be unable to resist. Now, that seems to be the only sensible thing to do.
You will take Brengun, yes? As well as radio.
And perhaps meet with friend Vaclav's colleagues at Serbst so that we can prepare a warm welcome for the Germans when they arrive.
Sounds like a plan.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That sounds good.
This will take about 12 hours, 8 hours to activate. We were in the small hours of the morning when we finished last time. I'm going to assume this is the morning of the following day. So by dusk tonight, Vaclav should have got his resistance contacts in Sebst lined up to meet with Adrian, and then you just need to set a time for when he will make his broadcast, assuming that Adam can instruct him on which knob to twiddle and which switch to switch.
I think cover of darkness is going to be our friend, since we are using infiltration versus but maybe not like too late at night. That might be too on the nose. Maybe just after the sun goes down, or even dusk.
Now, we don't want to be seen from the walls, I guess. Should be dark enough for us to sneak in, really.
The encouraging thing that the resistance can tell you is that the forest, the woodland, comes up quite close to the walls. It's, you know, it's been an asylum for the last generation or so. No one's been particularly worried about keeping the lines of fire from the walls clear.
I mean, we could wait a long time until 2, 3 in the morning or something, when the watches are tired. Maybe
dusk is the best time. Dusk will mean the Germans are more likely to move out in force when they can see the roads to drive their vehicles, and will provide us with a, you know, once they all leave, it will get dark and we can enter the building. Make our try anyways.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense, especially because if we do it too late at night, they might take a chance on waiting till morning to go out themselves. Yeah, I think dusk sounds about right.
Which in August in Europe is quite late anyway, but fine. So dusk. So we have a time. We have a plan. So Adrian will depart late that afternoon with the radio, having had written instructions from Adam about how to make sure he broadcasts as wide and as insecurely as possible. Can
I ask a question? Is this the only radio we have, or does the Resistance have their own radio?
They don't have a radio of their own. This was the assumption from Gaspar in Prague, was that this would be the radio that would be left with them to be part of your radio network.
Okay.
So you then return to Prague and get a new one. So yeah, you have just the one radio, I'm afraid.
Oh, my dear radio. Oh, damn. I'll leave very precise written. No, well, it's kind of everywhere. I got it, I don't know, 5 years ago. I was pretty young. So yeah, I'll leave very precise written instructions.
So I know the plan in outline. All I need to know now is where on the castle map you are going to make your attempt to make your stealthy entrance. I think I know, but I don't want to assume that. So where are you? Where's your point of entrance?
Can I ask one question before heading on to the castle? They have radios at the castle. Can she tell me where they are? You just have to say yes or no so that I can
yes,
get there.
There is definitely, because she's delivered food to the commandant's office, which is in it's number 6 on your map, and she always delivers it to the kind of anteroom, which is where his clerk works, and there's a radio there. So back to that question, precisely where is your point of entry, or hoped for point of entry?
Well, go ahead.
There was a mention of a postern gate.
Certainly, that's the postern gate, top left of the map, under that label that I have stupidly put there. That's the way that Father Andre got in that first couple of times before, when he was able to get a small number of children out on his own. To remind you, it is the Great Tower that is where the screams have been heard coming from. And the garrison is located in 8 and 11 on that map. Yeah, just so you know.
And my understanding is there's no direct entrance from the top from the like 15 into the Great Tower, but we have to go through like 4, 5, 7, kind of take the long way around.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a wall because the teens, the 13, 14s, 12, 11, 10 are all higher than that courtyard labeled 15. So if you think of 15 as being here, there's a wall, and then up here is where the buildings for 14, 13, 12, 11 are. So I suppose there is a direct route if you went up that wall. You with me?
Where do we have to go? Sorry.
That's okay.
We would have to go somewhere where the children were heard screaming. Where was that?
That's 13 on your map.
Okay, cool.
The Great Tower.
Did you say, I thought I heard in the last session that on the bottom left corner under the label, is there a second gate there? That it was.
No, that's a tower. It's the only tower of the castle visible from the village. The postern gate is under the top left one, the one that's labeled Old Gate. There is in fact an old gate underneath that.
So both entrances are at the north of the castle,
That's right.
Relatively similar, close to each other.
Yeah.
Those are the two that we're aware of. We could try using Radim's knowledge of medieval architecture when we arrive to try and ferret one out.
I like that idea. I think that's worth a try. Yep. And then if Radim cannot find any other secret entrance, then we'll go to the top.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's in my mind's eye then is that the four of you plus Father Andre plus the 4 members of the local resistance cell are going to scout the perimeter of the wall, work your way around the base of the wall looking for some other way in. And if you don't find something, you will resort to the one that he knows about. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I think what I'm going to suggest, I know we haven't been going long, but I'm going to suggest a bio break now, because I have a suspicion once we get into this, we might not want to stop. Okay?
I think we wanted to do a stress relief scene before we went.
Just because I'm on 4 stress, so it seems
I should have asked that first. Is there anyone who wants to set a stress release scene?
Just me, I think. So I think that Radim will grab hold of Adam and and go like, I hope you are taking this seriously, boy.
Excuse me? How are you talking to me? I'm not your boy or anything.
Listen, where we are about to go. I saw you at the ambush. It is not cowboys and Indians. It is not a movie. These men of war, they come and I see that you follow around in their footsteps like a dog. But you must remember.
Excuse me, you hit at this ambush. I shot Nazis, okay? And besides, how often have you broken into anything, really? Huh?
It's not about the breaking in. It is about not running around like a child with a gun. They are not toys.
Oh, are they not?
So should I roll,
really?
And then that will dictate how the actual tone goes? Because
I think that what I've just seen is both of you.
Yeah.
That was an argument. That wasn't just a one-way bullying.
Okay.
So first of all, then, shall we have Radim? If Radim can roll less than 4 on his stress dice, then he can reduce stress by 1.
Cool. Oh, I rolled a 6.
Okay, so stress stays where it is. But you still then keep that 6 in mind, because we know 6 does stuff. What I then need you to do is to roll another dice on the if you verbally abuse, bully, or shame, blah, 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 to see what effect this has had. What are the consequences? So any dice you like, just tell us which one to look at.
I'll roll a stress dice again. And that's a 5.
So on a 4+, and they are a PC, your words hit hard and they make a stress roll. So Adam, would you like to make a stress roll, please, to see whether your stress goes up?
It sure does. Great. Let's just stress each other.
That just all went terribly well. Now,
Yeah.
because Zadim rolled a 6 on that, I do now have to ask you, Zadim, to make a stress roll.
The downward spiral begins.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 5, so my stress goes up to 5 now. By trying to reduce my stress, I have come right up to the line of going insane.
I have
to drag my party member with me.
That's going terribly well. Now, on the flip side, Adam gave as good as he got in that argument. So, Adam, would you like to try to reduce your stress? Because you've already done the action, to do it. So if you roll less than 4, you can reduce your stress by 1.
Oh, I probably won't. Let's see how that goes. Oh yeah, I rolled 6, of course. That was just the blowout we both needed.
Okay.
And now I have to roll. Oh God, I can just send him over the edge right now. You know that.
Oh, a 3.
I've got a 3, which is.
Oh, your inadequacy is clear.
Okay, and I cannot.
You can't use expertise.
I cannot use expertise, and my stress goes up again, and I can't
use expertise.
It's. I don't know if this. Yeah, I can't use expertise. My stress goes up again, and I have to make a stress roll, which means I could be taken out. Okay, let's see. No, I'm not.
Okay. So, I'm not sure that the rules have ever been expected to do that, but we have our 2 civilians, or 2 of our civilians, our locals, are now teetering on the edge of cracking.
I am. I have. You realize that I cannot use my expertise, and when my stress goes up, I'm going crazy. So I don't know if these rules are meant to do that. Because I didn't want to do anything in this scene.
Could I propose another scene, which will probably horribly backfire, but just to throw it out there, that maybe Ben comes in and trying to soothe some nerves and get everybody back on track, pulls out a bottle of whiskey and offers a glass to everyone and keeps offering glasses to Radim and Adam.
There is a sense there. So just let me step. I got very excited about seeing the rules work there. Sabine, to an extent, I took some of your agency then by saying, "Oh, it looks like you're having a go at somebody. I think you need to roll the dice." I should have asked you if you wanted to try to use that as an opportunity to reduce your stress.
I didn't really, because these rules are they don't usually reduce stress, they just add stress. I mean, I realize that that's not what you intended.
So I think you should take that 5 away, because I should not have just rolled over you on that roll. Okay? Sorry about that, guys. I just terribly excited to see a rule work. So I don't think they work all that well. I'm sorry to say, but every time anybody tried to relieve stress, mostly they ended up worse than they were before. There is something to that. Maybe they need to be tweaked.
Yeah, well, I have a comment, but I'll save it to the stars and wishes afterward.
Fine. So, anybody else, with that in mind, anyone else want to try to reduce their stress?
Just to to second, I guess, what Walter had suggested. I mean, is there room for that? Basically, pulling out the whiskey bottle or the liqueur of choice and kind of.
No, that's certainly possible. There'll be some medicinal alcohol in the equipment pack, but I'm sure the locals will provide some hard liquor if it's necessary. I think the question is whether anybody wants to take a drink.
I mean, I will take a drink, but I won't try to reduce stress right now.
No.
But I take a drink.
I think a snifter would do everyone a bit of good. So unless you want to get drunk, Joe, it doesn't look like anybody's wanting to get absolutely paralytic.
I'm still holding my powder for the middle of the mission. I'm looking for just cracking, just breaking at some point.
Okay. So having avoided a bit of a death spiral, let's move on. So Adrian has gone with the radio, and you need to get up to the castle to complete your reconnaissance before he sends his message. And you've arranged. You have an hour to play with before you're expecting him to broadcast, and that will be the trigger, you hope, for seeing some trucks or some half tracks leaving the castle. Yeah. Okay, so are you going to stick together for this reconnaissance of the wall, or are you going to split?
I'd suggest split, because 9 people, come on, that's too many. Let's go in groups of 2 or something like that.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah, I was going to suggest maybe like,
Radim and the priest, maybe, because the priest having been here before.
Well, yeah, maybe before we decide how to split, we should to see if we can find another entrance.
Yeah, but isn't that why we're splitting? Is the finding
Split
the other
to
entrance?
find the other entrance? I suppose so. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe the resistance we would send them kind of like, their default would be to like go through the known entrance, and then some of the rest of us could go through like whatever entrance Radim might find. Maybe the big question is, do we want to split our group, or do we want to have the resistance be their own group? And
I would think the latter. I mean, when we said splitting, I thought it would be the 4 of us, and then separately the group. Is that what everyone else thought, or?
Yeah, I like keeping us together.
Yeah.
And apart from anything else, the language barrier, if either the Brit or the American go with the resistance, would be tricky. So okay, so the idea is then, I think, that you arrive at the castle wall, and the checks are going to go one way around, you're going to go the other way around, and you're going to rendezvous at the front of the castle within the hour. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fine.
And we'll take I think we should take the angel with us, if you'll go with our group.
He will happily go with either group. You put him where you want to.
All right. Yeah, we'll keep him around.
Okay. So Father Andre and you are heading around the base of the castle wall. I think probably I need someone to roll to do something else to make sure that. I mean, there's not most of the garrison is not patrolling the walls, but just to be on the safe side, I think I'd like you to roll to do something else to make sure that you don't attract any attention from the garrison as you are working your way around the base of the castle wall. Yeah. So who wants to do that?
I think this looks like a job for our tough NCO.
Yeah, I suppose I would have the most training in that, so it would make sense for me to lead that.
Survival would count as expertise.
Okay, so then that'll give me 1 die.
So that gives you the white die and the orange die for expertise.
Yeah, expertise. Okay. Okay, and yeah, so here I go. Oh! 2 6s.
Shazam. So you are as stealthy can be. But I think I would, on the basis of that 6, like you to tell me, in the phrasing of the move, say what you see or realize that's beyond human knowledge or a reminder of the horror of war. Now, you are at the castle, so it is possible that you could get some hint of what lies within.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that as we're snooping around close to the base of the castle, we encounter what looks like kind of a freshly dug up area, and it appears that some bodies have been buried here at the base of the castle recently.
That works very nicely for me, and you do need to roll for stress on that as well.
Okay.
So a single dice. If you get more than 3, if you get 3 or more, it will go up by 1.
All right. Five. It goes up.
I'm not surprised, because as you examine this, some moonlight comes down through the trees and illuminates a child's doll buried in this shallow grave. Do you want to examine these shallow graves more, any of you?
No.
I can't help myself. Yeah, what's this?
And they're, as you scrape up, they're very shallow graves, and I'm placing these at the top right hand corner of the map, so outside the wall at 14. So you've made quite a lot of progress and not found anything yet. And it does look like this has been used as burial ground for some, inverted commas, failed experiments. I think probably, Joe, I'll tell you what So why don't you roll to investigate these graves, Joe? And that'll give me an idea of how well or badly this goes for you.
Sure. I just noted we forgot to declare our load, and I wonder if this might impact my roll.
Thank you very much. Yeah, would you just mark your loads now, folks, whether you want to be light, medium, or heavy? Within that, I'm not bothered.
Cool. I just brought that up in the sense that I'm imagining, somewhere in Joe's kit, he'd have a small camera. It might even be like a consumer grade, camera that he's brought along with him.
Yeah. Add if you want to have a camera, mark one equipment slot, and just add it to the bottom. There's a space at the bottom where there's nothing. There isn't space.
Gotcha.
There might be a slight difficulty with the quality of light in a flash bulb, but we'll worry about that in a moment.
Sure.
So yeah, investigate these graves, Joe.
And there's nothing particularly. Yeah, there's nothing really in his background that would make him any better than anyone else. So just the white dice is what I'm imagining. Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
So I scored a 5.
So on a 5, you succeed, and you can ask me 2 questions. Is there anything you want to ask about this grave site?
I guess, first of all, is there any, gosh, I'm just trying to find the words to phrase this correctly. I guess I'm trying to find any, is there, something, that might indicate, what was done to the children? I guess what I'm trying to get at is if are these shallow graves where, for example, the bodies are exposed and we could see if there was, severe physical trauma? I think really that's what I'm ultimately trying to get at,
Okay, well, I'll give you two answers I think might be helpful then. Yeah. So yeah, these are very shallow graves. They've literally just dug a scrape, put the body in, and just thrown some leaves and loose earth over the top. No particular effort to conceal at all. The first thing I'd note is that there are not just children here, there are adults. In fact, most of them are adults. There is just the one child and 5 adults. And what I think you will note, Joe, is that they've all been killed in a different way. One of them has been shot in the head. One of them has been shot in the body. One of them has been knifed. One of them's had their throats cut. One of them appears to have had been hacked almost to death. So each one of them has been subjected to a different form of death. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm imagining, does this take us some time to kind of sift through? I mean, or is it just sort of, I mean, to be succinct, I mean, are the bodies just sort of kind of exposed and we're sort of...
Yeah, I'm not going to make you spend a lot of time on this.
Gotcha.
And you don't have the expertise to do it properly.
Sure.
To be honest.
Sure.
It's really just kicking aside some of the loose earth and leaves and leaf litter and making that kind of spot note. Do you want to try and take a picture? You've got I'm certain one of you has a flashlight, if not all of you have a flashlight. So do you want to try and take a photograph by that flashlight, or do you want to use the flash on the camera?
Joe does not know tactics. I think absent-mindedly he would be clicking away at his with his camera and just yeah.
I think the way we'll play this is that he does have tradecraft, and I think that the way we'll play this is, if this is the evidence that you end up relying on, we'll make you roll for tradecraft to see how solid the evidence is after the event. Because I think I think I leapt in before Ben could tell you, don't you dare put that bloody light on. But I might be misunderstanding.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, if he pulls out a light, Ben's probably gonna be like, no, we're going for something else.
Okay, so I will tell you now, you've worked your way all the way around back to the front of the castle. You're within sight of the front of the castle from the forest edge. You've not found another way in. And your rendezvous with the Czechs who've gone round the other wall, the western wall, is about 50 yards deeper into the forest beside the road that runs up to the castle. So unless you tell me differently, I'm going to cut to there. Okay, I'm going to cut to there. The Czechs have not found another way in either. Yeah. So it does look like the only option is to go in the way that Father Andre went in and hope the Nazis have not done a better job of securing that way in. Now, I have one more set of questions to ask you before we'll take a break, and then we'll come back to see how well you get in. I do want to know whether, as our game has proceeded, do you want to change the nature of the person that you care most about or care least about? I'm going to start at Joe's end of the character keeper. So Joe, currently you care most about Adam and you care least about Adrian. Now Adrian's gone off and done something terribly heroic, we hope. Do you want to change those?
Yeah, Joe, I guess maybe Joe saw the blow up between Radim and Adam, and perhaps because he also has this sort of academic background, although it's more of a professional background, maybe he has more empathy for Radim, and he sees Adam in a new light. Maybe he was swayed by Radim's arguments and thought, Adam really wasn't the person that I thought he was. He wasn't as competent a fighter. I saw him sort of skulking in the background, waiting for others to go first. So perhaps, I think I'm going to make that swap.
I'm not sure that's terribly just, but I think you should go with it.
Yes, yeah. Right.
Okay, what about Adam? Has Adam's view of the of his fellow agents changed?
Yeah, it has. I don't care about Radim. He's just a stupid, arrogant egghead, and once the communist revolution has come, he'll be one of the first ones put against the wall. But well, maybe he'll die in the castle. So, and I think of all these people, I mean, okay, Ben is not a nice guy, but at least he's a competent guy. Yeah.
Okay, so Ben, the NCO, goes up in your estimation. Ben, what about you?
Well, let's see. So which member of the team do you care most about? Well, that was Adrian, my fellow countryman. Now that he is off and focusing on this crew, I would have to say Adam has really proven himself to be brave and effective in combat, and generally able to keep his head about him, and very clever. Very sharp, using the radio to our advantage. Absolutely, Adam has demonstrated themselves to be very useful, very effective. As for which member of the team do I care least about, I would have to say Radim. I had my doubts about the academic before, but it's like, well, we need his knowledge. It's worth taking the risk, but then the stress is clearly getting to him. He's like blowing up and making a scene with Adam, and I just hope Radim can hold it together. I'm really worried about Radim's nerves.
Okay, very straightforward, and that leaves Radim. Radim, who do you care least about? Who do you care most about?
Radim cares most about Adam, because that whole blowing up at him and was just really like that really poor projection way that people hurt the people that they care about and tell them off, and really painful to them. He doesn't want Adam to die. He wants him to realize that it's a serious thing, and he wants him to just to survive, because Czechoslovakia is going to need people like Adam, despite his past.
Okay, I like that.
The person he cares the least about is, I think, actually, Ben Hart. And I think it's not so complicated. I think it's just that he thinks that Ben is, out of all of them, totally, he signed up to die. He's a soldier. And he's the one who's you don't need to worry about, because he's either going to take care of himself or he's not going to. And it's none of Radim's business, one way or the other.
Okay, that's neat. And it turns out that Radim really likes Adam. He just can't show it very well. Okay. So with that in mind, then it's 1/4 by me nearest Amit now. So shall we say 10 minutes back in our seats to 25 minutes past the hour? And then we'll roll on, hopefully, to an exciting climax. Okay, see you in 10 minutes.
So I just noticed that
Go ahead, Walter. Did you freeze a bit? Then you were saying something and you stopped.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, we're ready to go again. I'll save it for the debrief afterward. Time to jump back into the game. It was nothing important. Just making a comment on some of the stuff.
Okay, so now you are in the forest to thanks, Eduardo. Appreciate the sensitivity. So you are in the forest, about 50 yards out from the main gate. There are the four of you. There is Father Andre. There are the four members of the local Czech resistance. And you're waiting there now for any sign that Adrian's radio message has an effect. And I'm happy to tell you, it does. You can hear within the walls much activity. You can hear truck engines starting up. And shortly after that, 2 trucks and 2 half tracks rumble down the road past you. So it looks like the reserve platoon, or at least most of it, has been dispatched from the castle, hopefully in the direction of Adrian, who may even survive this. So that was the signal you were looking for. What do you do now? I suppose what I'm expecting you to do is to rush.
Now we Rambo in the front gate with guns ablazing. No. Rush to the secret entrance.
Rush to the secret entrance. So you make your way through the woods to the postern gate. And I guess that really this... anybody want to offer me the best expertise for this?
Yeah, I'm a small-time criminal. I can crack. I mean, this is literally what I'm. No, it's not what I'm doing anymore. But hey,
but you know, you can't forget it, can you? It's like riding a bike.
Oh, yes, exactly. I got a 4. And you're muted, Alan.
Of course I am. So is a 4 good enough, or do you want to push it by using your stress? Now you're muted, Sabina. I can't quite see if you're speaking or not.
I'm speaking very loudly, and you can hear me. Now you can hear me. 4 is good enough. I succeed with no obvious complication or benefit. That is very fine. Okay,
so so you are through that postern gate, and you are looking from a dark, slightly cavernous room at the bottom of that tower. You are looking out into that main courtyard. And I think in that main courtyard, you can see a number of vehicles. Quite a few have just left. And you can see men stumbling out. Well, stumbling out's a bit strong, but you can see men trickling out of the gate at the very far end of that courtyard, who are kind of, you know, pulling their bracers up and struggling into their battle dress. And you know, dragging their rifles with them. It looks like the off-duty platoon has been roused, but it doesn't look to be at full efficiency yet. So what are you going to do?
We need to cross the courtyard, right?
So you're saying we can do most of the activity. So all right, we're at the top of 15.
Yeah, you're at the very top left-hand corner of the map.
And the people who are active are at the bottom of 15, coming out of 4. Is that right?
You can see between the vehicles, because there are still a couple of half tracks, a couple of trucks, some motorbikes, sidecars.
So we need to cross all the way across 15.
Yes. Now the good thing is that there are, as I say, a number of vehicles scattered about. Well, parked probably quite neatly, actually, down one side.
Okay, so
So our plan is now to directly try to
okay.
climb up to 14.
And now
right?
you say we see like just 2 people in the courtyard?
I think the longer you sit here, the more people will make their way out of that, because it looks like a platoon of the off-duty company, a squad of the off-duty platoon have been roused, and they're kind of rushing out to try and kind of take over some duties, probably on the front gate.
I don't see how we could possibly sneak across that 15 or climb up there without being spotted. So I'm literally faced with, I don't know what our options could be other than to assault them.
Before you get carried away, remember there are plenty of vehicles parked along the left-hand wall, so it's dark. While there are lights at the front gate and there are lights at gate number 4, there's plenty of shadow about in the lee of this wall. You know, it's
so it looks
nighttime.
like if we carefully creep. So okay. So we are in a good position to carefully creep up to number 4, is what you're saying.
I think that's what I'm saying.
Then I think that's what we should do.
You're cutting out a little bit, Walter. Say that again.
Yeah. That sounds good.
I'm not certain we're
So,
hearing everything you're saying.
Oh, am I? Yeah.
You seem to be just chopping a little.
I've said a couple things that I feel like people didn't hear. I must be cutting out a lot.
And you're cut out again. If you can hear me, Walter, you've cut out again.
Yeah, indeed.
So try again.
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
We're hearing you now. It's just occasionally.
How about I try this? How about I go to audio only?
Okay, give that a try.
Okay, so I'm on audio only now, so I can't see you, and I won't broadcast, but hopefully that'll be enough. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but my internet's like super buggy right now.
That's much clearer, I think. You seem to be much less robot-y.
Okay, good. All right, so then let's see. In that case, yeah, it sounds like then we'll sneak our way down to the beginning of 4, and then we'll go from there.
And I think
maybe we'll leave. Yeah, I think that's good.
So I think that probably
maybe we'll leave like
You've gone quiet, Walter, so I'm going to speak.
Go ahead.
What I think that means is that your survival is going to come into play here, to lead the party, the group, down that left-hand wall, in the shadow of the vehicles that remain, and as close to that gate at the bottom end of that courtyard as you can get. Yeah. So
okay.
It's, you know, it's a good 100 meters, but you're the man to do it. So lead them on with expertise.
Okay, I will roll with expertise. I got a 5.
Which we know is a good thing. So to do something else, you succeed. The GM may offer you some extra benefit. I think I will. Well, let me ask you, what benefit do you want?
I mean, I would. Well, we don't know what we're going to encounter, so it's really hard to say. But I would think like finding. I mean, they're guarding 4, right? I'm open to suggestions if another player has one, because I would say, oh, it'd be nice to just like have a great little place we could hide out and sneak past for, but that's probably asking too much.
Maybe we can find some uniforms in one of the cars.
Oh, that's a really interesting idea. That's a great idea.
I'm very happy for someone to use up one equipment slot for having carried the uniforms that you already obtained. You remember you got 2 slightly bloodstained SS uniforms and 1 slightly bloodstained field grey uniform. So if somebody wants to tell me now that they'll mark off some equipment spaces for those 3 items, 3 of you could suddenly appear in uniform.
Sure, I'll do that.
I could do it as well because I speak German, and I think so does the prof.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
So does Joe speak German? Or just Czech? I don't know, because he's a diplomat.
He speaks Polish. We've worked out he spoke some Polish simply on the basis of his name.
Yeah. Then he might be the best bet for the third one, because at least he will speak a little bit of Czech, because there is some crossover between Polish and Czech.
I'm prepared to believe that.
Okay, sounds good to me.
So, who has infiltrated the castle in uniform? And make sure you've marked off one of your equipment slots for that, please. I need 3 to be marked off across the group. And Radim has marked 1. Who else is dressing out? Oh, there's Adam has marked 1. And last but not least, Ben or Joe, which one of you?
I went ahead and marked off 1 as well.
Okay. So fine. You're in the shadows with Father Andre. And your 4 Czech compatriots within yards, it feels like, of that second gate. And I remind you, the second gate has the same kind of guard as the main gate.
So this is probably a very stupid idea, but maybe our charming young Adam can. We're here to relieve you, the sentry, and then we temporarily gain control of this access point, and we can shuffle people through.
Remind me, how many people are there? How many soldiers?
There are 4. There's a machine gunner, his mate, and 2 riflemen. Okay,
so what we really need to do is to take out the guy on the machine gun, because that's the most dangerous, I guess. Right? I'm looking to Ben.
Yeah, so let's see. So the machine gunner, his mate, and 2 riflemen. And are they, so I'm thinking the machine gunner and his mate are like kind of behind a sandbag, and the 2 riflemen are like maybe just kind of standing as like more casual guards in front to keep an eye on things.
Yeah, I'm going to make that the advantage that you got off that roll. They are where you would like them to be.
I mean, my suggestion is basically that we replace them with like by convincing them to go for a coffee and a smoke, right? And it's our turn on duty. That obviously is prone to going horribly wrong, but I'm trying to avoid opening fire on anything until the last moment.
Yeah, that seems fair. So let's go up there and tell them that we are the relief.
And this is your point man on this, I think, Adam. So
hell yeah.
So are you going to claim expertise on this?
I have expertise in languages, don't I?
You do, and I'll give you the benefit of that. So I think you roll 2 dice. Let's see how well that goes.
Oh, I will re-roll that with a stress die, because no, that's not so great. And I've got a 5, and it's higher than my stress die, yes.
Which is just what you wanted. Suddenly stress has become important. The previous 3 sessions, no one's worried about stress. So you succeed. I will offer you an extra benefit. I'm inclined to say that the extra benefit is one of them walks away saying, he's terribly short for a member of the SS. But I allow you to tell me what benefit you would like, because all four of them, they swallow that whole. They know there's been a fuss. They know there's the duty rotas are all over the shop, and they're quite relieved to be able to get back to bed. Actually,
Yeah, okay. I think that's very nice. And the benefit I would like to have, let me think. Let me look at the map. So 4 is the gate to 5, right? I guess the benefit I would like to have is maybe some kind of book or something that tells me some of their names, so we can claim. No, that's a bad idea. Anybody else has a suggestion?
So along those lines, like, maybe like oh yeah, make sure you don't let Fritz at the kitchen again. I told him that extra security around the castle. Like a kind of like they let something slip in the conversation that gives us some sort of insight about what to expect further up.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes, I think that's quite neat. So I think what you imply is that they've roused only one squad of the off-duty platoon to fulfill a very minimal duty out here, and those were that was the squad of guys you saw heading towards the front gate. And I think the other one will say something like, and of course those. Oh no, 2 of you are in SS uniforms, aren't you? Let's assume Adam is not in the SS uniform. Let's assume that that one of them says, as he's going away, "Oh, it's about bloody time that the SS carried some of the routine work around here, rather than just sitting up there in the tower with the guys in the white coats." Yeah, does that seem fair?
Yeah, that sounds fair. Yeah, we know that the SS are now with the white coats up in the tower.
White coat. I hate white coats.
So you have made it as far as the second gate, and you can see behind you the Burgrave's court and the Burgrave's house, which is where the castle commandant is billeted. What do you do now?
I mean, we could try to get the commandant and get him to spill, but I don't know if that's enough.
We could. We have a bunch of resistance fighters with us, right? Like, would the resistance fighters not like to seize the opportunity to make their own strike against the commandant? And I'm thinking this is like a distraction for us as we progress. I don't feel like we want to carry around the resistance fighters with us the whole way through here, because we can bluff our way through, but 9 people's too many.
I like that idea. And we want someone to be able to cover our flank now that we're getting deeply in. Like if we go past the Burgrave's house and there's presumably at least someone in there, then that's someone behind us. So how about we leave some of the resistance at least behind to keep an eye on the Burgrave's house and ambush anybody who tries to come out of the door. Like they can just kind of like flank the sides of the door and lay an ambush, and they'll also be guarding our flank as we go farther in.
Can I ask a quick question? And this may impact, I guess, how we set this up. I just vaguely remember during the last session, didn't Helena say that she had access to this? And I just have this vague sense that she had an understanding of the layout.
She certainly knows. She knows her way this far because she's made deliveries to the Burgrave's house, to the commandant's office.
Gotcha.
And that's, by the way, where the radio is in the Burgrave.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
she's never been further into the castle than this.
Okay.
Oh, that's important information, that there's a radio in the Burgrave's house.
Yeah. I was just wondering if we wanted to go there. Yeah, instead of sort of bypassing it. I mean, if that's like a point that we want to investigate and
I just wonder.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
What do we need the radio for at this point?
Well,
go ahead, Walter. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think two reasons come to my mind. One, it keeps them from having access to the radio if they sound the alarm on us. And two, if they're sending messages out via the radio, there might be like scraps of paper, notes, documents around related to that. There might actually be some evidence near the radio.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, cool. My personal vote is that there's the barracks at 8, which is if we sound the alarm while we're in the Burgrave's house, then we'll have to fight our way through the bulk of the remaining soldiers to get to our objective. However, I do see your point entirely. So, like, you know, I would say that I would, you know, I fully support going in there. I'm concerned about the, you know, if we fire a gun anywhere, it's all actions blazing, right? And
I think that's a good point too. One compromise is we could leave a couple resistance fighters here, kind of like in hiding at this gate. And as long as everything remains quiet, we continue on and they just hold down this court in hiding. But if someone comes out of the Burgrave's house, then the resistance fighters will be there to like take them out, right? Immediately by ambush. So that way we have less risk of immediately raising an alarm.
That I think somebody mentioned that earlier, the idea that you'd leave the 4 resistance fighters in command of this gate, keeping an eye on the Burgrave's house, keeping an eye into the courtyard, and if something happens, they're going to open fire. You're going to know about it. And
if we open fire, then they can take their chance to strike a blow against the local German commander, right, and assassinate a senior figure and decorate themselves in the glory of Czechoslovakia.
So what that sounds like is that the 3 of you in uniform and the 1 of you who isn't in uniform are making your way through the shadows of the Burgrave's court towards the gate into the main court. Yeah. Where I think I can tell you now, you can see a single sentry.
Okay, the main court is number 7?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
I can distract him and somebody can stab him, maybe?
Ooh, I like that.
I'm good at stabbing.
I'm good at distracting.
So maybe you go over, like Adam goes over to talk to him while the 2 SS officers walk off in a completely different, often that sort of like visual distraction. And then in the meantime,
Ben can come up from the shadows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I go up to the German soldier and try to bum a cigarette off him.
Well, let's see if that goes at all badly. As long as it doesn't go badly, it will go well. So I think that's do something else. We'll carry on using your fluent German to your advantage. So you roll with expertise. And then Ben has the option to just emerge from the shadows and do the dirty work. Go ahead.
I have a 6.
Oh, I just love it when you roll a 6. Okay. Is that equal to or more than your current stress?
It's more.
Yeah. Then you didn't put the stress dice in. No, you didn't. Okay,
no, I didn't.
So yeah, would you roll to increase your stress, please? Adam is beginning to get calmer. I will ask you how that rattled you in a moment, but for now, that means that he's absolutely he's searching for his cigarettes and lighter. Ben, he seems to be preoccupied.
Oh yeah, this is my job right here. sneak up behind him and slit his throat.
Just like that. Okay, well, roll with expertise.
All right. Uh-oh, I got a 3.
Well, on a 3, to confront the mythos and its minions, you fail or succeed at a cost the GM will describe. Or you could
now,
include your stress dice and re-roll.
Given the circumstances, I'm definitely going to include a stress die and re-roll. So I'll do that now. Well, I got a 4, and of course it's on the stress die.
If you include the stress die and it rolled equal to or more than the highest, increase stress and say how stress manifests. So Ben is reaching the edge, but you do tick him down with no trouble at all. Yeah. So he slumps into your arms, and I see you dragging him into the shadows. But stress is beginning to get to you, Ben. How does this manifest?
Yeah. You know what it is? I think it was just like really incredibly brutal. Like I managed to slit his throat, and I put I basically have like I'm like holding him, by the head and covering his mouth, right? But he's just kicking and kicking and kicking, and I'm like dragging him off into the shadows, and I know he's dead because I can feel the warm blood just like gushing out of his neck down his uniform and onto my arms. But he just won't stop kicking. And he's like, even though I know he's dead, he's struggling and struggling and struggling, and I just have to hold his body for a while, and it's horrible, absolutely horrific.
That's delightful. Thank you for that. That sets the tone beautifully for what's to come. And it's just as well that the only 2 people who observe this are 2 members of the SS who sharply turn towards you and march through the gate. So you are closer to your objective than you were. You can see now there are some steps just next to this gate. Through the gate, then some steps going up to the higher level of the inner ward. And it looks as though all you have to do is to get through that courtyard as far as 12, and then the Great Tower is all yours for the taking.
I realize, I think we maybe lost track of this, but the angel of Krupna, we did say that we were going to take him along with us. So can we say that he's with us? So we can ask him, because I assume that he took the children from somewhere in here, right?
No, he didn't. When he discussed this with the other characters last time, he said that he'd managed to get 4 of them out of the back of a truck who'd happened to be. So he's never been past this point.
I mean, my question is he with us though still?
No, he must have stayed with the resistance.
Okay, cool. I mean, that works fine. I was just wondering if he was so much of a man of faith that he would be refused to put God's work aside. But yeah, cool.
I mean, Adam, I think it's fair to say that given the kind of conversation you had with him last night, it does seem slightly strange because he's been obsessed with this business of getting the children out. It does seem strange that he didn't just automatically follow you through this gate.
Didn't. I'm surprised. Oh, God, he's going after the commandant, I'm guessing. Well, nothing to be done yet now. We have to strike on. We have to go on. I'll keep my worries to myself.
So, as I say, there are these stone steps going up the wall to your left to the higher level, the inner ward, on which the towers are located, St. Mary's Tower and the Great Tower. And so, unless you tell me differently, I'm going to have you up in that upper ward.
I think that's where we're going, right? No way but onwards.
So would that put us all the way up by 12 then?
I think it certainly puts you in the shadow of St. Mary's Tower, number 11. What Helena told you was that she believes that the SS are barracked in St. Mary's Tower. And so what I'm seeing, I think, can you see that there's a kind of ramp? It's actually some steps up from the ward where you are up to a doorway in the side of St. Mary's Tower. And for the first time, you realize the way that this is structured. 12 is actually a wooden bridge about 15 feet off the ground, connecting St. Mary's Tower to that very highest point, the ward around the Great Tower. And there's a rough-hewn bit of rock that is at this end. So unless you want to climb up that rock, the only way from where you are now to the Great Tower appears to go up into St. Mary's Tower and then find the exit out onto that wooden bridge that is actually marked 12. And I'll tell you for nothing, because it's already on the map, 2 SS sentries are on duty on that bridge. What do you do?
And they're 15 feet up on the bridge.
They are.
Can we give up now? Go home? Call it a day?
Yeah. So I said it in the thing. If we do end up having to shoot at this point, we can blow the bridge behind us, which will at least delay reinforcements coming to us. Obviously, it will seal us in an area, right? But it would allow us to push on with onto the Great Tower. Obviously, we would be better off if we could somehow take out the 2 SS sentries quietly.
Wait, hey, you studied this castle, right? You know it. Isn't there a way to get to the cellar or something? I mean, maybe the tower has a cellar entrance.
Yeah,
like
maybe
that.
the wine cellars extend below into the.
That might. I mean, I don't know nothing about castles, but
servants' access, that kind of thing.
I think I'm very happy for you to investigate the base of St. Mary's Tower to see if you can find another way in. Yeah?
Yep. That's a 5.
I think you get to ask me quite a lot of questions. So yes, there is. It's an iron bar, kind of like a jail door. But you can see that there are some stairs going down behind it. It's actually underneath the steps going up to the tower proper. So there's a doorway here with some stairs going down. Yeah. So do you want to ask me anything about this?
I mean, I suppose it's really a case of can we, will this take us to sort of like the basement of the Great Tower?
It certainly will take you to the basement of St. Mary's Tower. Only time will tell if it takes you to the basement of the Great Tower.
Yeah. Do I have any other questions to ask? I don't. This always throws me because it's so like PbtA. 5, I get to ask 2 questions. I mean, I think honestly, I don't really have any other reasonable questions that I could ask there.
Okay. Then Adam, that portable lockpick set that you carry with you everywhere and is of negligible weight is probably needed again.
I will open any door that you will point me to. Or try. I use expertise, and I've got a 5.
So not only do you open it, but despite the fact that it does not seem to be regularly used, you manage to open it without it squeaking unduly.
Yeah, I've got oil for that. Exactly for that. I mean, I'm a total amateur in that
Yes,
respect.
you're the most professional amateur cracksman that we've come across. So,
You've got mute, Alan.
I have. I'm going to put you in the basement of St. Mary's Tower, where you can use your flashlights because there are no windows. And it's brick vaulted. It smells unused. And it appears to be almost an enormous space with just these pillars every 5 or 6 feet, every couple of meters. But without much trouble, you will find a door in the wall that would be the right wall to head in the direction of the Great Tower. What tells you that this is not the normal way that access to the Great Tower is made? Anyone want to paint a bit of scene?
Can I suggest, that perhaps as we, walk through this, I mean, maybe we're tons of cobwebs. It's sort of that element, where it's just there's a lot of dust. There's no footsteps, or perhaps there are footsteps, but it's 1 or 2 sets, or what I mean. It doesn't appear like there are a lot of troops sort of marching through this area. I don't know. Does anyone have any other ideas?
I think that's certainly true. This is not a routine. People don't march through here.
Maybe there are boxes in front of the door. Like maybe the door is there, but it's like it's been used as storage, right? And it's not been moved around, and that door is just kind of like part of the wall to them. Really, they've just forgot because they lock it up there. No one gets through the lock. Who cares, right?
Fine. So there are some crates stacked in front of this.
And as we walk in with our flashlights, we see 2 rats go scurrying behind some boxes.
Yeah, I think they're scurrying away from the door that you're approaching.
I think the walls they're wet and a bit crumbly. At one point, we can see that the stone has rotted away a bit. So this doesn't, it's still stable, but you can see that there are holes in the wall where
crumbling brick and mortar. Yeah, no, I like that. Okay, so we've got a nice sense of the environment down here. And so we have a little scene where a little montage where you're carefully moving these crates away from the door, and then the door is not locked because, as you've observed, who'd use it? It's got stuff stacked in front of it. And so there's and the flashlight illuminates this passageway, which while this basement has been brick lined, this looks like it's been dug through the native rock. So you are some distance underneath that wooden bridge now. I just love in less traditional games saying, who goes first and which order are you in?
I think in this circumstance, Ben would be leading the way.
I'll be happy to give Radim the right of way.
Well, my only suggestion is that maybe it's best for one of the people in the SS uniform to be leading the way, because that way it's not first glance. Who is it? Radim will volunteer for that. Completely unprepared, but I would defer to the NCO if he thinks it'd be better, because he's got the skills for it. It's just Radim speaks German, and he knows medieval architecture and so forth, and he also is wearing an SS uniform, so it won't be an instant case of who goes there, Hansi hoch.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely, if we're moving into an area where there's going to be other people, Ben would fall back into a shadow. But
okay, yeah. So you stealthily creep your way up, and Radim will be waiting in case he has to, jump forward and go, "Oh, it is only me."
Yeah, but you know, if the first person we run into is not paying attention, Ben might knife them again. We'll see.
So you make your way along through this stone passageway, and this has not been used in a long time. And you come to a spiral staircase up, stone flagged spiral staircase going up. I presume you go up it.
Are there stairs that are going down as well? I mean,
No, there aren't. No, there aren't.
Is there another exit from this thing?
It doesn't seem there is.
Damn.
Can we see if there's a door at the end of that spiral staircase? Oh, you muted yourself.
I keep doing that. Because it goes at least one complete spiral up there. So it's out of sight.
You know, and along this passage, is there anything, I mean, I guess anything that might give us a sense of what's at the end, you know, I mean, is it really just sort of like a hallway, or is there any materials along the side, any features to this?
Nothing at all.
None at all.
I think that Radim might say this might well have been some kind of escape tunnel, so that if somebody was attacking the Great Tower, this might have been a way out to get behind them. So up the spiral staircase, and when you've gone up about 25, maybe 30 steps, there is a door, but the spiral carries on going up. What do you do?
Hey,
I think
maybe
we should keep going up.
we heard something about screams, right? Do we have any idea if they came from up the tower or in the tower's center?
I don't think you do, really. I think you no. Apart from screams from the Great Tower, I don't. Anybody has been very specific.
Judging from the usual way towers, I've seen that means that the windows are at the top, right? That's the usual tower architecture. I'm familiar with. I mean, Adam doesn't know this, but Radim might.
Yeah, it's a tower in the sense of once it may have been a terribly defensive tower, but it's been remodeled in the 200 or 300 years since it was built to have been used as rooms, as a residence of some description, perhaps. So you will have seen from the outside that it has this steeply pitched roof, and then it's a square rectangular tower with windows regularly punched into it. And remember, it was used as an asylum until recently.
Wait, this was I did not remember that. This was used as an asylum for mentally ill people until recently.
That was the case. It was only after the occupation that they were moved out and the Germans were moved in.
Okay.
Though actually, no one has questioned where they went.
Where they were moved out to.
Yep.
It's a nice bit of flavor. I feel like I should roll stress as a player.
I'm always very happy for people to roll stress, but I'm not going to force it on you. Let's save that one up as a realization if stress goes up anyway. Though actually very few of you can afford for that to happen. So, Radim, you're at the sharp end. You're first to this first door. What do you do? Carry on up or do something with the door?
I mean, I would maybe if I could pay for a keyhole or listen against the door.
By all means, do something else. I'm not sure there's going to be much in the way of expertise at this one.
No. That is a 1, so I don't do anything. Maybe I get Ben Hart with his survival skills and his expertise in pressing his ears up to doors to do it instead.
Well, remember, you barely succeed, and the GM reacts to exact some personal cost or by offering you a hard choice.
Okay.
You would be able to hear what's on the other side of this because you feel it gives slightly. So if you were to just push it open a little bit, you would be able to hear what was going on the other side of it.
I think that Radim feels it and then freezes and then paralyzed with fear, and then just like shakily withdraws from the door and withdraws because he's too scared to push the door open.
So that sounds like he's leading the group up to the next floor.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the group can make their own decision, but I would, I think we're all agreed to proceed upwards. I think as much as anything.
Well, you're the expert on architecture, after all.
Yeah. I mean, the tower's the tower, right? You tend to put the important things at the top of the tower rather than at the bottom of it, and we're probably only about like the ground floor at this point. So, if there's more stairs to go up, there's more tower to explore.
Ben, are you convinced by that argument? Do you follow him up, or do you examine this door?
I feel like it's not time to risk tipping our hand yet, and we can explore this door on the way back down if we feel like it. I'm prepared to keep going up.
Okay. I'll assume you all do, unless you tell me otherwise. So go on.
I was just going to interject. Once again, Joe, very curious. Can't help himself. And he sort of regrets. Yeah, man. We should have. Would love to have, checked. Would love to have checked. The Burgrave's court, and he's not going to let this opportunity pass him by to maybe discover something interesting. So perhaps as the rest of the group proceeds forward, I mean, Joe was already hanging back anyways. Nobody's going to notice if he just sort of, cracks the door open and takes a listen or a look.
Well, the hard choice is the one that fictionally is in place. So you can push this door open in order to look into the space beyond and find out what's going on there. Do you take that opportunity, Joe?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So Joe looks in. It's dark, and there's a musty smell about it. But it seems to be a large hall. Could have been a ballroom back in the day, perhaps. But at the far end of it, there is a door with light coming underneath. What do you do, Joe?
I take a brief pause and I look over my shoulder. Has the rest of the group kept going up the stairs?
You will just see, I think it must be Adam, mustn't it, who is third. So Adam's back has just disappeared round a curve in the spiral staircase. What do you do, Joe?
I'm going to creep to that door.
Fine.
And go ahead, sorry.
Right, you creep to that door. I'll cut to the front of the trio. Radim, you've reached another door. What do you do?
And do the stairs continue, or is this the top of the staircase?
They continue above this.
Ooh.
Your recollection from the outside is that there are 3 rows of windows, and then some set into the roof.
Right. I will turn and ask my commanding officer, and say, we are reaching the top of the tower, but there is probably at least one more level. This is not the entrance, but it could be significant. I just do not know. I am not a tactical man. I do not know if it is easier to enter at the top and potentially fight our way down, or enter here and fight our way up. I feel at least our backs to the walls would be at the top.
Yes. So playing into being laconic and feeling like he's the main military man, in the fiction, Joe is just going to say, keep going. But I
Okay,
want to add
then.
to that I think in Ben's mind, he's thinking, well, they're likely to hide the good stuff at the top, and then we cover our backs because we know what's behind us if we explore more things on their way back down.
Yeah, amen.
Does Adam notice that Joe's missing at that point? Because we're standing there and
It's
looking
only
at
3.
that
Yeah, we must
door.
notice that Joe is missing.
So
Yeah,
I'll say,
I
hey,
think Adam definitely
Hey.
notices.
hey, guys, where's Joe?
Okay,
it.
let's cut back to Joe. Joe, you've crossed this ballroom to this door. This door looks like it's used. I will allow you to look back where you've come. It looks like you've entered through a hidden door. You know, it's in some wooden paneling. From this side, probably people never knew it was there. So what do you do when you get to this door on the other side of the ballroom, Joe?
Well, you know, just out of curiosity, so this sort of ballroom, I mean, is it just completely empty at this point in time, or is there any sort of furniture or anything that might, you know, give me a sense of what's ahead?
I think it's fair to say that there will be some. Yeah, I think it's more interesting if there's lots of furniture all covered with dust sheets.
Gotcha. And I guess, you know, I probably would have lifted the you know, those sheets on at least 1 or 2 pieces just to sort of confirm, yep, this is a ballroom. You know what I mean? Not a storage space for blah blah blah.
It may have been a ballroom in its original construction, but when you look underneath, you find lots of institutionalized tables and chairs.
Gotcha.
Makes you
So-
feel it might have been used as a dining room more recently.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I guess Joe would find this all curious, but he would, yeah, ultimately make his way to the door at the end. Any obvious sound coming through at this point?
So you're at the door, you're listening. Let's
Mhm.
investigate, shall we?
Sure. There's, you know, once again, nothing that speaks to his expertise with this. So just rolling a 1. I mean, a 1.
I think
Or-
I might allow tradecraft, you know.
Okay.
This is spying by any other name.
Okay. So that's only a 1 and a 4. I'm actually going to re-roll with my stress die this time. How about that? Why don't we let's start pushing the knobs and dials, right?
Well, you know, you have some knobs and dials left to push.
I
so
do.
go for it.
So that's a triple 4. Wow. That's insane. No pun intended.
There is no justice in a hard world, is there? So you succeed with no. So you get to ask me one question, which you've already asked. Really, what's on the other side?
Yes.
You can hear conversation in German, but because you rolled equal to or more than your highest roll, your stress, increase stress, and say how your stress manifests. So increase stress. And tell me how Joe is feeling now.
He could hear his heartbeat, you know, just, you know, it's so quiet in this room, you know, through the steps, walking up to the door, that is, that gradually his heartbeat increased, you know, and he could hear that thrumming in his ears as he just sort of stretches himself to you know, to hear what's going on beyond the door.
And
Is
I
that
think
fair?
he's probably convinced that whoever's on the other side of the door can also hear it.
Yes, yes.
Let me cut back to the spiral staircase. Adam, he's not there. What do you do?
I don't know. I'm looking at the other guys. So do we get to the top of the stairs or do we go look for Joe?
Damn it. Well, look, there's many ways that they could find us at any moment. Let's just keep going, find what we need to find, and get out of here as soon as we can. Joe's on his
Sure.
own now.
Okay. Yeah.
Stay on mission. Yeah. Okay.
Worked
So
well last
so you're going to go up to what will now be the third small landing with a door on it, and this is where the spiral staircase ends. So what do you do when you get to this top door, Radim?
I will again try and surreptitiously, you know, peek or listen or whatever, right?
That sounds like investigate to me, which we all know he's really good at.
6. I am really good at it.
Yeah. You can hear gibbering. Would you roll for stress, please?
Great. I'm about to crack. 1. Great. I don't lose. I don't crack.
There is definitely a human type gibbering on the other side of this door. What do you do?
I will hand on the revolver and open the door.
Okay. Let's cut back to Joe. Joe, you're at this door. You've heard German spoken on the other side. What are you going to do?
You know, I'm going to fumble for my pistol. I'm assuming I've got, yes, revolver. There it is. So I just, pull this Luger. Would that be the time appropriate weapon?
Fine.
Hand shaking, reaching for the doorknob. And I unfortunately I boxed myself in, I think earlier in crafting Joe that he's not really fluent in German, so he doesn't know what's being said, right?
Exactly.
Right. I think he's going to quietly try the door. Yes.
Okay. What is his intention? Let's assume he can open this door. What's his intention when he gets through this door?
I think his motivation, once again, is that he regrets not going to the, was it called the Burgrave's house? And, there's got to be some intelligence in here. There's someone speaking German on the other side of the door. I got to get it. That's the motivation.
Okay. The door is unlocked. You open it. It's very bright indeed inside, and there are 2 Germans in white coats speaking to one another. What do you do?
Oh. He's watched too many Hollywood movies. Hands up. Points the gun. Fine.
Let's cut back to the top of the spiral staircase. Radim, revolver in hand. You go in.
Yep.
And you can see 3 figures dressed in white in the dark, looming out of the darkness towards you. What do you do?
In German, halt, and demand to know demand that they identify themselves.
And as soon as you speak to them in German, they retreat towards a window. And in the light from that window, you can see that they are 3 very old people dressed in hospital gowns. What do you do?
I will beckon the rest of my the group forward. Revolver sort of like aimed not at them, but like ready to draw. And then in Czech, I will softly say to the 3 figures, hello, who are you people?
I think that's roll to do something else. Do you have any particular expertise in being nice to people?
Reasoned argument.
Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's try reasoned argument.
I'm trying to be reasonable, right?
Reasoned argument. You have no reason to fear. I am not really a member of the SS.
5.
And they calm and one of them comes and says, I am Nikolai. Where are the others?
How many others are we talking?
Everybody else. Only the 3 of us are left.
How long have you been here, Nikolai?
Oh, since I was a boy.
Ah, And how long have they been taking the others? And where have the others been taken?
I don't know. They put us up here.
And how many were there of you?
Ooh.
More than
Several
10?
dozen.
Oh, several dozen.
We used to enjoy sitting and eating together, but then it all changed.
Trying to think of what I could ask. How do people come into this room other than this door, Nikolai?
Points to a door in the corner.
I will beckon over my companions to the other door.
What about these two guys in lab coats?
They're all
They're
old.
still here, right? Or
No, the lab coats are downstairs with Joe.
oh, okay. So it was
These
just
are in hospital gowns.
Oh, okay. It's just these three guys. Okay. And
Well,
does
one guy
anything,
and two old ladies.
does anything about them seem off in any way? Because I have a feeling that something's not right here.
They investigate, Adam.
Yes, I will. I have no expertise in investigate this kind of stuff, but I'll just go and roll a 4. And you're muted.
You want to ask me the question, is anything odd here?
Yeah.
In as much as these are 3 very old asylum inmates, I'm not sure there's anything odd apart from the general oddness of the circumstance you find yourself in.
Yeah. Are there any books or anything, kind of notes or something? No?
No,
Okay.
there are 3 hospital cots. Sorry, there are 4 hospital cots.
Okay.
3 people. There is a kind of latrine, a bucket in the corner. The window here has bars on it, and the door out is locked.
Well, okay. So should we go back there? And I'm pointing to the spiral staircase we used to come up, or there, the other door.
Radim, based on your knowledge of this castle, do you think there's more rooms on this level?
I consult my memory, and a Welsh voice tells me.
Yeah, that there is the ground area of this would allow for a dozen rooms this size.
Ask these people if there's any way that they have to signal that they need something, that one of the people who work here would come to open the door to aid them.
Yeah. I asked that, yeah.
No, they get food. Something is delivered every morning through a slot. You can see the slot at the bottom of the door. And that's the only contact. They get food and water that way.
So then it sounds like there's no way for us out of here. We'll have to go down the stairs.
Well,
we can't open that door. I mean, it's locked.
Oh, do you think you can open it, Sabine? That's right. You have the lockpick.
Sure.
She is the master of unlocking.
Yes. Adam, do your thing.
Yeah, Adam will go and try and do his thing. It's my thing now. Great. Yeah, I've got any force. That's fine.
So you unlock the door, and you come out into a corridor with a number of similar doors on it, and a staircase at the far end.
Does it go up or just down?
It goes up and down.
Okay.
And at that point, we might cut back to Joe. So, Joe, you've pointed your gun. You you are in an SS uniform, and you're pointing your Luger at these two German lab coats, and they turn to you and say something in German, which is obviously what you can tell from body language and tone. What do you mean, put our hands up? What do you do, Joe?
I'm afraid to. Yeah, I'm afraid to say I'm gonna have to blow my cover. I don't know how else to communicate with these guys. Yeah, so I in Polish, because at least there's a chance that they perhaps more so than English. What are you doing here? What is this?
I think one of them lunges for a desk. What do you do?
I'm afraid to say that Joe pulls the trigger.
Okay, so you confront the mythos and its minions. You have small arms expertise, so you roll 2 dice. They are currently unarmed, so you don't need to roll one of the failure dice.
Gotcha.
So simply, are you shooting to kill, to cow, or to wound?
What a good question. At this point, how about, I guess maybe, just shooting at the space, the desk, the table that he's lunging for, perhaps? I mean,
so this is shoot to discourage. Fine.
Shoot to discourage. That's fair enough, yeah.
Roll your 2 dice.
Oh, not stress. I beg your pardon. Expertise, we said.
Expertise.
So it's a 3 and a 4. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and spend some stress. I want to just like I said, push the buttons, turn the dials. Let's see what happens. That's disappointing. My expertise still prevailed. It's a 4.
So nothing changes.
Yes.
You succeed. So you fire at the desk, and he backs away. And he does put his hands up this time. Both of them put their hands up. So we cut back to the upstairs where you hear a gunshot. What do you do?
Ben says, "Shit!" And he immediately, realizing now time is absolutely the most essential resource, he just runs to the stairs and runs up the stairs with his gun out.
The gunshot, because you're now outside this room, the gunshot is loudest from the stairwell, but from downstairs in the stairwell, just so you know.
Yeah.
But
he's assuming it's probably something to do with Joe.
Okay, so Ben is in motion. He's already going up the stairs at the end of this corridor. Adam, what do you do?
So he's running up the stairway or the spiral stairway? I'm sorry.
The staircase.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
down
the
the corridor
spiral.
and up the staircase into the tippy top of the tower.
Okay. So what was the question? I'm sorry.
Are you going to follow Ben to
I'm
the
gonna follow Ben.
staircase and
Yes.
go up or go down? Or are you going to go back the way you've come to where you last saw Joe? That's broadly the 3 choices I think you have.
I really want to know what's going on in this tower. And I'm not sure going up is the right move. I think I'll go... Well, Ben's going up, PbtA Emperor, or... Well, I don't know that, but something like that. He's going up, I'm going down, and we'll leave Radim in the middle.
Radim, which one of them do you follow, or do you go back to the spiral staircase?
Radim will snap at the inmates and check to stay here, pull the door closed behind him so someone couldn't see it. But he's going to, as he walks towards it, he's going to open the hatch on one of the other doors first, like, quickly look inside to see what one of the other cells holds.
Fine. And a figure throws itself at that little peephole. What do you do?
In Czech, I say, like, peace, peace. I'm here to help you.
And it's about so big, and there's a face trying to get at you. What do you do?
I back up and leave the shutter open,
Would you roll,
and then just walk away.
would you roll for stress, please?
Yep, sure. Oh my god!
So this is nice. When stress reaches 6, you crack. Describe what happens. What does Radim do?
I think rather than back away, Radim opens the door.
Because these doors are bolted.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah. I can't open the door. Oh, well, I can. Yeah, I
You
can just.
can.
Yeah,
You don't need to pick it. You can just undo the bolts.
yeah.
And just this door?
Yeah, I think he starts to throw open all of the doors because he needs to see what he needs to see. He needs to know what's going on, what's happened here.
He does. So Radim is throwing open doors. Ben and Adam, you've gone different ways up the staircase. Ben, at the top of the stairs, you will find a dusty attic. What do you do?
A dusty attic. There's no one in here?
No, you could spend some time exploring it, but it's a dusty attic.
So it looks like nobody's been here for a long time.
No.
Okay, then I immediately run back down the stairs.
Fine. We'll see what you meet at that landing in a moment. Adam, you ran down the staircase to the floor below. When you get to that landing, it looks an awful lot like the one above. A corridor with these asylum doors off them. What do you do?
Well, they have these windows we can look
They
in,
do.
right? I look into one.
You open it, and inside you will see what appears to be a woman and a child. What do you do?
Wait,
They're
woman,
dressed
child.
in ordinary clothes.
I'll call to them and check and say, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing here?"
And the mother goes, "Help us! Please help us! Please help us!"
Sure, I open the door and let them out.
And then what do you do?
Ha! I think I'll find the cell where the other entrance to the spiral staircase should be.
Okay, so you go down to the end of this corridor and bank on finding, and you will. And in that room, you will find a man and a woman who initially they're frightened of you, but then when it becomes clear that you're not interested in them, you're interested in going to this panel on the far side of the room. They just look at you go and then rush out through the door.
Yeah. Okay. Where are they going? Hey, stop! Stay here. Wait and check.
But we have to get out. We have to get out.
Yeah,
They'll
but
come.
not that way. Go that way.
So what? Because they don't know what that way is. So what? You're trying to leave or open this door from the outside?
Yeah, exactly.
Fine. Then I think that is back to your ability to break into a door that's not meant to be opened from this side.
Yeah, well, maybe I can do that.
Oh,
I've got a 5. Yeah.
so
sure.
you leave that open and tell them what? Just run down these stairs.
Yeah, and then stay down there. Wait for us to come. We'll get you out.
Okay.
I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I will take the man and tell him to look into the other cells and try to get people, find out if there are normal people in there, and get them out.
Okay, and then you're going to do what?
I think that I'm going to go down because, or maybe I'm just listening at the staircase if I hear anything.
Fine. On the grounds that Joe may well make a noise, let's cut back to Joe. Joe, they're standing with their hands up. What do you do?
I repeat my question. What are you doing here? What is this?
Sadly, they speak no Polish.
No Polish. And I automatically repeated in English. Still no response.
Oh no, I think in English, you will get a response. I think that you will. One of them will say, in very broken English, Dr. von Kammerstein is in charge. It's nothing to do with us.
Von Kammerstein, who's this? Tell me more.
You may have missed a session where we talked about this. Otto von Kammerstein is the presumed scientist in charge here.
You know, I realized that I didn't really even study the room when I walked in. Just responded to the two of them. Can I get a sort of a quick
lit office
space?
While you're thinking about it, I'm going to cut back to Ben.
Okay.
Ben, you've run down from the attic. And what you see as you look on the corridor is Radim opening doors. And out of the doors are coming some very disturbed looking people. What do you do?
So disturbed as in similar to the first three that we met.
Shall we say ravening?
Ravening. So they're like mumbling and shuffling
bestial.
And what was that?
Bestial.
Bestial. Okay. All right. But all right. But it doesn't look like there's going to be any resources. I think I'm just going to now, and I probably see Radim here opening more doors as these people are shuffling out into the hallway.
And then one of the people nearest you seems to see you and turns towards you and begin to walk very purposefully towards you with a hunched look about them. What do you do?
Okay. Well, since I don't see anything that looks threatening here, I tell Radim, I say, get out of here. Follow me. And then I continue running down the this main stairwell that I started down.
At that point where you shout to Radim, the figure that turned towards you and began to walk deliberately towards you sprints towards you. What do you do?
So now in a threatening way.
Oh, definitely in a threatening way. Bared teeth.
Okay. Well, at this point, the jig is already up. So I'm just going to shoot him right between the eyes.
Do you want to tell me which weapon you're using and mark it on your sheet, just so I know whether this is single shot or automatics?
Yeah. Let's see. Where's all my goodies here? So let's see. It could be a revolver. I think, yeah. I think at this point, I'm just gonna have a revolver in my.
Fine.
Well, I don't know. We are actually. You know what? So the Sten gun, that's like a small semi-automatic gun. Is that right?
It's a machine gun.
A machine gun. Oh, okay. So it's pretty big, and but I can just fire one shot off that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll have my Sten gun out, and I will try and just fire one shot right between his eyes as he gets close to me.
Okay.
I'll wait till I can see the white of his eyes, as it were.
Oh, you got to let him get that close?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I need you to roll to confront the Mythos and its minions. You can roll with expertise, small arms.
Okay. I got a 6.
And you take him down straight between the eyes. But on a 6, you need to roll for stress.
Okay.
Because there was an inhumanity in that creature's eyes. To describe him as a man would be to be pushing your luck.
Yeah. So I got a 5, which is equal to my current stress.
Which is okay. So it doesn't go up.
Right.
Let me now then. And that shot will have drawn the attention of the other creatures, figures, people, ravening bestial beasts in this corridor towards you, just so you know. Joe, No, sorry, Adam. Adam, you were running downstairs, weren't you?
No, I was standing at the staircase listening. If I could hear anything, and I guess I might hear something from upstairs.
Yes.
Huh.
Do you run towards it or away from it?
I do not run, but I really want to know what's going on. Because,
that thirst for knowledge is coming back to bite you on the arse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, probably it's Radim going off the deep end, but I have to see, But I'm careful. I have to see, but I don't really want to be eaten by Radim.
So you get to the stair. You look up the stairs, and you can see Ben run down from the attic, turn into the corridor, and go with his Sten gun. What do you do? Go up there.
Gotta help Ben, right? Yeah, I gotta help Ben.
Okay. So now they are all rushing down that corridor towards you, apparently egged on by Radim. It looks like Radim is saying, go, my children. What are you going to do, Ben?
How many are there?
At least a dozen.
Oh, God. All right, I'm going to turn and run down the stairs.
Meeting Adam coming up the stairs towards you.
What's going on? What's going on? I mean,
Ben just blows right past you and says, run.
Okay, I mean, if he's panicked and running, then that's probably a good indication that I might too. I'm just looking, and I guess I see maybe someone, and then I'm running too.
Yes, I think you do see someone or something. You see two things, I think. You see these people rush to the banister at the top of the stairs, and one of them just goes straight through it and tumbles past you into the stairwell to crash on the floor below.
No.
And then you see Radim at the top of the stairs. What are you doing, Radim? I just can't bring myself to take control of a player character.
I think Radim. Well, I don't know. I quite like the idea of Radim opening all of those up, and I don't know what they are, but maybe they've whispered some unholy secrets to him in a voice that only he can hear, and he's smiling, and as these figures rush past him, he's standing at the top of the stairs, and he's just stalking down the stairs, down one step at a time, a fixed grin on his face and a manic look in his eye.
Yeah, he doesn't look good. Adam, he doesn't look good. What do you want to do? Stay put or follow Ben?
Oh, I will follow Ben. I'm just debating with myself if I should shoot Radim. Probably not. That's probably not. No. I'm going. I want to know what's going on. Damn it! But no, I don't want to get eaten, and I have to help Ben.
Okay, so Joe, Dr. von Kammerstein is in charge.
I tell them, I guess I tell them, take me to the doctor.
Take me to your leader. They will take you through the door on the opposite side, and I'm guessing you send them through with their hands above their heads.
Yep.
And there you will see what looks a little bit like an operating theatre. And there is a woman strapped to the operating table, on the far side of which is a man with tiny glasses, squinting down at the woman, and he has a scalpel.
Gotcha.
And as you come through the door, he looks up. What do you do, Joe?
I can't help myself. I pause for a moment to try to understand, what is he doing to the woman?
So you're investigating then?
Yes.
Okay. So roll to investigate, please. I'm not sure there's much expertise in this circumstance.
Right. I can't imagine. That's only a 2. You know what? I'm gonna again push the knobs and dials. I'm gonna throw some stress in there, and that's a 6.
So increase your stress by 1.
Yes.
But you get to ask me all the questions in the world.
Okay. So I guess that is, that's the $1 million question. What is he doing to this woman?
You can see that there is a large, hanging from the ceiling is a large glass vat almost of what looks a strangely colored fluid. And it runs to 3 shower heads above the operating table. And you can see that underneath the operating table, there is what looks to be a set of troughs through which this could be collected after it had been allowed to run over the woman. And he appears to be he's got a clipboard in one hand, and he's working his way down the clipboard as if to say, not that one, not that one, not that one. Ah, yes, that one. And it looks like he's about to do something with the scalpel.
Gotcha.
There are filing cabinets here. There's a cabinet with some folders in it.
I think this is enough to put Joe over the edge. He's just going to, clack off some shots at the doctor and the assistants.
Okay, so bang, 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 if he can. So confront the mythos and its minions. I am going to give them a chance to do you a bit of harm this time, because while they're not armed with anything particularly important, they might just be able to get a sharp object at you. So you roll expertise, your normal dice, and the first failure dice, please.
So that's a 4 on the white and a 1 on the failure dice.
Which means that they don't get to you, but on a 4 you succeed, and you
Gotcha.
put all 3 of them down with shots. Now, back on the staircase, Ben and Adam will hear these shots from the bottom floor of the tower, or the ground floor of the tower, where this creature came to rest. What do you do?
Well, so it's pretty clear at this point that there's only rambling people chasing us from the top floor. The second floor, Adam just ran up from, but the shots are coming down on the bottom floor. And the second floor looks like the third floor, right? It looks like more cell doors, basically.
The second floor looks like the third floor, except the doors are now all open, but no one seems to be coming out of them.
Okay, then yeah, Ben's just gonna run down to the first floor and investigate these shots.
Okay.
With his stem gun out.
And Adam's following.
Fine.
Adam's following. Somewhere there must be an explanation and where the children are anyway.
Yeah, fingers crossed. You will also hear for the first time gunfire from outside the tower. It looks like the shots that they've heard from here have triggered the check resistance to start operating. And so Adam and Ben, you arrive in this large kind of hallway, and the gunfire came from behind that door on the left-hand side. And it looks like one of those kind of 1950s operating doors, which has got they're white and they've got a kind of porthole in each of them. What do you do?
Will I run up and look through the porthole?
Just in time to see Joe shooting 3 guys in white coats.
Hot damn, Joe. Changing my opinion of you. Ben opens the door and tries to get his bearings on what's going on in the room.
Well, you see a woman struggling on this because somebody's just been shot next to her and is now slumped over her. 2 other dead bodies. Joe, probably slightly shakily, still pointing a gun in that general direction. Filing cabinets, folders, all manner of things. What do you do?
Ben goes up to Joe takes a deep, like a visibly deep breath, like kind of signaling to Joe that he should take a deep breath too, puts his hand on Joe's shoulder and says, "We have 30 seconds. Get everything that looks valuable and let's get out of here."
Yeah, Joe will start to unstrap the patient. I mean, I assume she doesn't have an open sort of wound.
No.
Just, pulling aside the equipment, I'm assuming leather straps, belts, just, yeah.
I think there's a tense moment as you're doing that when Ben goes up and grabs your hand that's untying the woman and says, "There's a war. There's millions of people. Leave the woman and get the evidence."
I think this is... Yeah, this might lead to a moment. Let's, what's a good way of putting this? Joe puts his finger in Ben's chest. "Don't you fucking tell me what to do." And he just continues at his work, pulling the straps aside and trying to get her out of the table.
Adam,
Take
what are you
her
doing? Oh, you
with
went
us.
a bit choppy then.
I'll yell at them. Take the woman with us. She's a witness. Oh, I did. Do you hear me now?
No,
Is it better?
fine. You're back.
Hello,
Now. Yeah, you're back.
Oh,
It just kind of
okay,
whoa,
cool. Okay, no, I will yell at the two of them. Take her. She's a witness, and then I'll start grabbing anything that looks interesting, like ancient tomes of atrocity or something like that.
Yeah, Ben starts grabbing things. Ben leaves Joe alone at that point and goes and grabs things.
Now we have 5 minutes left.
Wait, I will yell at the woman. Where are the children?
On the second floor.
Okay, then they're all gone.
I think it's a reasonable assumption that the civilians that you attempted to free included some children, but this seems to be as much about adults as children.
Okay, well, I don't care. If they were on the second floor, I assume they're where I know them to be, and then I'll just keep on grabbing interesting looking stuff.
Now, I'm inclined at this point to just cut straight to epilogues, because I think in the next 4 minutes, we could run through you fighting your way out, but I'm much more interested in the longer kind of medium to longer term of what this looks like. So are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go. I want to leave Radim till last, if I could, because I'm curious what we find Radim doing.
Actually, are we? If we're just going to go to epilogues, maybe a couple minutes off for us to each contemplate our epilogues before we do that.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Shall we just take a walk around the room and get back together? Would 3 minutes long enough, or longer? I'm just conscious that I don't like to take people over time unless I really have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about 5? Yeah.
So 5 minutes from now. Okay.
Cool.
We'll give Sabine just a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I think my internet's back enough. I can go on low quality video.
You're certainly very kind of blocky.
Oh, is mine still not very good?
It's now you've gone back to video. The audio has degraded almost inevitably, but it'd be nice to see you at the end. Okay, so
really, you can notice.
Oh yeah, I think
that's what I was
with
thinking.
your video off, the audio was quite smooth. It's slightly less smooth now, but don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Epilogues then, so that I get you back into your normal lives before midnight. Shall we start with Joe? What do we see, Joe?
Sure. You know, I was actually thinking sort of cinematically. You know, maybe you don't really even see Joe. You know, you just see these photos that he took. You know, just sort of being one thrown sort of on top of the other, and then some of the papers that he, you know, maybe he took from the cabinets, just all being stuffed into this brown envelope, and then they're just put in a file cabinet. And it's sort of like the end of Indiana Jones, you know what I mean? It just goes into this warehouse and somebody's walking away, and the last shot is just the doors being closed. I mean, it's sort of it kind of acknowledges the fact that it took America a few years to actually get into the war and, right, be involved. And it kind of just sort of speaks to, this, yes.
Okay, no, I like that. I like that. Somewhere in a warehouse with Majestic 12 stenciled on the side. Yeah. Okay. Adam, what do we see of Adam after these events? Or did he get out? And if he didn't, what did we see as the last of him?
Oh, he got out. I mean, it's Adam. He gets out. Maybe not heroically, but he got out. What we see of Adam next is maybe some days later in that barn. And he has given most of the stuff he took from the room to Ben, of course, but he's kept this weird-looking old book for himself. And the camera is on him, and when he opens up the book, you can see that his eyes go wide as he reads it, and he's murmuring something like, "I understand."
Yes. I'm almost tempted to make you roll for stress that last time, but I won't. Ben, what do we see of Ben?
Yeah, so I just a slight retcon. I think Adam gives the information to Adrian. Ben is not going to make it out, and there's a shootout at the end, right? I mean, there's the Czech resistance did a great job holding our flank, but you know, ultimately the SS in St. Mary's Tower scrambled, and as the others are like fleeing out the front and reuniting with the remaining Czech resistance to get away, Ben is holding up the rear and keeping the SS at bay as long as he can, so that everyone else can make it out. And that's the last anyone sees of Ben.
I think that's an absolutely appropriate way for Ben to bow out of this series. Thank you for that. And finally, Professor Zakpal, what, if anything, do we see of him after these events?
I think that in the background of a lot of like the escape scenes, you see these inmates, you know, falling upon the Nazis and ripping at them, and you see another figure walking through them, who's dressed in a bloody SS uniform, and every now and again he shoots one of the struggling German soldiers. And the last thing you see is of him lowering his face to their bodies and partaking of the feast. But you know, perhaps mysteriously, his body is never found in the when the SS finally recovers and reclaims the castle. Radim Zakpal's body is not found among them, and that stairway that goes back down the door is swinging open.
Very good. Yeah, I certainly will think about bringing Professor Zakpal back as an NPC in a future round of this. So right, thank you. That's great. I would like to spend a little. I'm sorry, I'm taking more of your time than I anticipated. I would like to spend a little bit of time on Roses and Thorns. I'd like to kick off, and I really want to thorn myself. I'm sorry, that last 30 minutes just zipped by, I'm afraid. With hindsight, I maybe should have got you straight to the castle quicker rather than all the recon. So I'm sorry about that. I desperately dislike having to kind of curtail something like that to go straight to epilogue. So I'm sorry about that. Roses and Thorns, let's go the other way. Let's start with Will.
Yeah. Thank you, Sabine, for going along with the stress thing and putting Radim in his place. But yeah, roses to my companions for being curious, professional, and spiky.
Thank you for that. Any thorns?
Just like you mentioned, like I would have liked to have seen more of the castle. Like everything was building up to the castle, and we had to plow right through it. And you know, the way that worked is that Radim died like effectively right near the end, where he would have had a chance to do things. But yeah, more time in the castle would have meant maybe I could have rolled up a check resistance fighter to poke around or something, right?
Yeah, point taken. Going back that way, then Walter.
Yeah. So are we doing thorns and then roses also? Like
roses and thorns in whatever order you want to give them.
Okay. I will. I'm going to start with my thorn because I have exactly one. Because I loved everything else about this. Alan, you are a fucking genius. I love this system so much. I wanna run some version of this myself sometime. I will say that I think, and I love, as in general, the stress relief, but I think the consequence of and I liked the thing where like Radim and Adam like triggered this like mutual stress release thing. I think like the core of that was actually really cool to see that like build up. But I think I given that if people can increase stress when they're trying to relieve stress, and as what happened to me, there can also be negative consequences such as raising alarms, all on top of that, just for trying to relieve stress. I wonder if that's a little too much, and it would like keep people from utilizing that mechanic, which leads to awesome roleplay, as we saw, right? So maybe backing off the increased stress a little bit, but I think like it's making it so that maybe they don't lose stress, but there is a chance for consequences, like raising the alarm. That felt really good. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to go on for a little bit, but not too much because I know it's late for a lot of other people. It's still 10 in the morning for me. If you're wondering why I have energy. Oh my God. Well, first of all, Alan, the pacing from beginning to end was amazing. The first sequence where we all had to like find each other, and it was very like cloak and daggery. To, I mean, like 4 weeks ago, to this one where like getting through the castle, just the pacing's been amazing. The last 2 hours, I completely lost track of time. I don't remember ever losing track of time. I was like so biting my nails the past 2 hours. I didn't even realize it was already close to the end. The role play from everybody was great. Will, you totally like did such a great job with Radim 2 games ago, and this game. I love what you did with the stress relief. Sabine, you're always amazing. Adam was truly awesome. Eduardo, the Joe was really great. It was such a pleasure to watch Joe's like sequence through the castle, and just like biting my nails, like this is gonna go so wrong, and then it went so well, and Joe is the hero. That was so great. And I love how everybody. It felt like everybody was like, I could relate to them morally, but also they all had like different positions, right? And were coming from different places. And so I loved that there was this like, you know, like we were able to have these like ethical tussles with each other. That just felt really powerful. And yeah, I loved this game. So, all right, I'm gonna stop now. I'm feeling all like afterglowy from this game. Thank you.
That's great, Walter. Thank you for that. Sabine, roses and or thorns?
Oh yeah, what Walter said about the stress relief, I think you shouldn't acquire stress when you try to relieve it. That is kind of weird because it could push you right over the edge in a scene that isn't actually the main thing. So yeah, but Walter said that, so I won't again. And then I loved everything about the game. I had a lot of fun. I loved the characters. I loved Radim, who was so intensely curious, and I loved Ben, who kind of grew on Adam with his no nonsense way, and kind of inspired him to go like do things like see the big picture stuff. And of course, Joe was a really lovely American. I would have loved to go to Chicago with him afterwards, but it wasn't meant to be. Considering the pacing, I liked the fact that we didn't spend much time in the castle, because that was just action sequences and wouldn't have been much more. I mean, if we had one more session to really confront the horror, but the characters were at the brink anyway, so how much more horror could we have handled? And I liked the fact that we had a slow build-up and got into these moral complexities between the characters and saw something of the Czech landscape. I like that. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, when I rerun that, I think that if I wasn't certain the castle would be enough for a full session, and I was wildly wrong. So that I think I doing it again, I would cut straight to the castle, and if it finished early, I'd go with a finish early rather than thinking I needed to fill the 3 hours. But there you go. Okay, Eduardo, last but not least, roses and or thorns?
You know, being last, I'm just sort of seconding everything that everyone else said. I mean, you know, once again, just sort of, you know, fantastic group of players, and Alan, you know, fantastic job also, you know, guiding us through the story. I can check this box off my list of games that I, you know, want to play. I have also got, you know, Achtung Cthulhu sitting on the shelf and have never read it, and just like looked at it, man, that would be so cool. You know, you know, same thing also with the, you know, not to belabor the point, you know, the whole stress conversation, you know, one suggestion might be to just, you know, I love the role playing that went with it, and maybe it's just making it an automatic relief so that there's no, you know, sort of, you know, you take the dice mechanic out of it, basically, something like that. But I'm sure you'll think of something. And then with the pacing, you know, it's just, you know, part of the challenge is that, man, there's like so many flowers, and we're all happy hummingbirds, and we want to just smell all those flowers, you know. It's like when I think about the grand you know, sort of the whole spectrum of it, where do you know, what do you cut out? You know, and that's the hard choice, is like, you know, the stuff in session 1 where we were in Krivelklat, you know, and we were looking for Gaspar, you know, that was fun. And, you know, as you discovered, you know, going through the castle, you know, once again, we want to open all the doors and check all the tables and look in all the cabinets as well. So, but yeah, it was thoroughly enjoyable, and everyone was fantastic. And you know, it's a shame also that it's only 4 sessions. It's like I'm finally starting to figure out who Joe is. You know, by this round I realized he was much less Cary Grant and more Jimmy Stewart. But you know, that's sort of the nature of you know, playing on the Gauntlet. But you know, thank you all.
No, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was ironic that just like any 1950s movie, it was the good-looking American who ended up being the hero. You know, while the hard-working Brit does all the stuff over there, one of the foreigners goes mad, and the other one kind of is there to help open the doors. You know, because basically they're a criminal anyway, aren't they? You know, so I thought we hit a lot of tropes there, guys, that perhaps we weren't aiming for, but no, it's great fun to run. As I say, I that end bit just didn't sit well with me, but you know that. And yeah, I think you're right. I think there might be something about an automatic reduction of one stress and then roll for the consequences. That would seem to me to be the simple way to do it. And yeah, I think that early on, stress didn't seem to be going up a lot, but then it kind of, whoa. So yeah, I take that, and I think I'll make that change tonight, because it seems to me a no-brainer. But I am thinking of running a Gauntlet quarterly of this in the autumn. So, because I think it'd be interesting to see this run across a series of missions rather than just the one. So I will stop the broadcast when you all wave goodbye to the internet.